I'm Dr. Adam Miller and from Arise MD, and I'm really excited to be here today to talk with my patient and my friend and an artistic inspiration for me, Elle Hardinger. Elle, thanks for taking some time to be here today.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this too.
I don't think I've told you this, but I've been calling this space where I get a chance to interview people the Wellness Operating Theater. Uh,
Okay, cool. I like it.
Yeah, so we're in this era of mind, body, spirit medicine. The modern era of health is loaded with everything from meditation to yoga studios to prayer. And, all of that's great. The rhetoric and discussion's great. But as a surgeon, what I'm interested in doing is asking incisive questions and taking incisive action to truly move the wellness ball forward. And I think our topic today is a provocative one. I think that it is just can be disturbing for a lot of people and a lot of families, but it is so relevant today. And that's the topic of mental health, which is the number one cause of disability in America, which has huge financial implications. But just talking about wellness, I mean, it's quality of life in the most compromised fashion that you and I are going to be talking about today, and that is the topic of self-harm and suicidal ideation and the darkness that leads to the desire for self-harm. So, Elle, you have a history of self-harm.
Yes.
We have agreed in earnest and celebratory fashion that you are an overcomer.
Yes. Yes.
And so one of the things you're going to be talking to us about today are those influences out in social media that I was completely unaware of that are promoting and softly, and in some cases hardly, encouraging dark attitudes, dark imagery, and dark actions. So thanks so much for the courage to come on and talk about this, because it clearly is needed. Now, at the outset, I'll say that this all falls under something that we call Envoy at Arise MD, and that stands for End Voodoo You. And many of you know that I lived in Borneo in East Malaysia for about 6 years and worked in a medical tourism environment there. But what a lot of you don't know is that I had brushes with black magic, including an instance in our clinic where one of the nurses was having intractable back pain. And it was suggested by one of the medical assistants that she had had a spell put on her, that it was black magic or form of voodoo that was leading to this intractable lower back pain. So we got the cousins involved who were thought to be a part of this spell. And I don't fully understand how it all went down, but they reversed the spell and her back pain went away. And we'll never know if that was the true cause or not. But there's enough of that kind of activity, the voodoo, the black magic, the pagan rituals in East Malaysia, that people do everything they can to avoid it. So something's there, okay? There is a realm of darkness. And when I came back to the US, I remember thinking after I landed, it's kind of nice not to have to worry about black magic and voodoo again. Well, the first Sunday I was in church back here in America, they showed a video of young people walking in front of the video camera and holding a chalkboard down, and they would lift the chalkboard up in front of the camera and put it down and move on. And they were apologies to God. And it was, I'm sorry for trying to kill myself. I'm sorry for taking an overdose of pills. I'm sorry for trying to injure my brother. I'm sorry for attempting suicide. And as I was watching this, I thought, I just got tears in my eyes, and I thought, we don't have to worry about voodoo of someone against me. I don't have to worry about somebody hating me and getting a doll of me and sticking pins in it, casting a spell on me. In the Western world, our concern needs to be for the voodoo you. The negative thinking, right? The negative attitude, the negative imagery and the negative actions that lead to self-harm on an emotional, spiritual, and physical level, right?
Yes.
So we've launched this campaign called Envoy, and the definition of envoy is a messenger or representative, especially one on a diplomatic mission. So we're on a mission from the health side, and what I hear my artist friend Elle saying is that she is on a mission, a diplomatic mission, to improve mental health and reduce self-harm on the social media and artist side of our society with something you call designer mental illness. Can you just talk about that for a minute, Elle?
Yeah, so I think the main culprit through social media to kind of like create all this stigma around mental illness is Instagram. And there are just so many accounts that are just completely negative and completely just like unhelpful to people who are looking for help for mental illness, and it can make them kind of spiral backwards into like this depression, this dark place that you talked about, like where you're kind of stuck with voodoo against yourself. And Instagram really, when it comes to these accounts, it just spreads this negative energy, and young people who are on Instagram think that it's okay to be posting things like this and putting all this negative energy out there when it's actually making things so much worse. You know, you might go on there thinking, oh, if I look up pictures of depression, anxiety, find people who are like me, it would make me feel better. But it's, you know, it just makes it so much worse because there's all this negative energy. Nothing positive comes out of it. And it's unfortunate that all these young kids are seeing this, and then it kind of, some of them begin to think it's like, it's okay, it's like cool to do this stuff, but really it's not. You know, you need to work on yourself and kind of get yourself better. And then Instagram is just kind of not allowing that to happen with these accounts.
Yeah. So can you give us, I should back up and say you're currently in school for art and design. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, in Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. So the project, this designer mental illness, was actually something you took on as a part of an assignment, a project at school.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think you've got a couple examples, right, that you're going to show us here.
Yeah.
And I know I've heard you talk a lot about this. I know you're not saying that, you know, Instagram is evil on the whole.
Right.
But it is important to know that there are people going on social media every day who have drifted into such darkness that today might be the day that they literally do think about killing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And what I appreciate about you is that you really open my eyes to the fact that even somebody who's reaching in desperation for some support on Instagram with good intentions, I'm depressed, suicide, they're going to get both positive and some profound negative encouragement, right?
Yes.
So let's show us a few examples here. The first one I think has to do with the attitude, right?
Yes.
Attitude. Okay.
So we have
through a screen share, I think you can do.
Okay, so we have this picture here that says 50% I don't know, 50% I don't care. So with this account that I've created, I pull out pictures from these pages that are just incredibly harmful and negative, and then I have taken them and post them on this account and kind of explain like what is wrong with that, why it shouldn't be posted, and how you can kind of change the thinking pattern. So I've written here, I get it, life is hard, mental illness is shitty. Resorting to this thought pattern is I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Is resorting to this thought pattern is detrimental though. Try as hard as you can to stay away from this. Turn it into 75% trying really hard and wanting to get better, 25% things are hard and I need to accept that, but I'm much stronger now, or whatever phrases work for you.
Yeah, I love that. So you're giving the counter message for this laissez-faire sort of apathetic attitude, right? Like, and this seems to me like the first step towards suicide for some people.
Definitely.
50% this is, in other words, this is like the black and white of who I am, right? 50% I
Yes.
don't care, or 50% I don't know, and 50% I don't care, which
Mhm.
just isn't true.
Right.
We each of us is a unique work of art that knows some brilliant things about ourselves, about others, about the world, and we really do care.
Yes.
Um, but I love the fact that you boldly added a counter message here,
Mhm.
and yeah, mental illness. It's just saying, look, it is muddy, it's messy, we can all accept that, and I would add to that, it's everywhere. It's almost the new
Mhm.
norm. Like, we
Yes.
all have some degree of bipolar. Some days we're down, some days we're up. It is this description, or in line with this description, of life, nature, and health all being a rhythm, right?
Mhm.
High energy days, low rest days. The sun comes up, the sun goes down. Some days you feel on top of the world, some days you don't feel on top of the world. Um, so really, Elle, it sounds like you're also speaking to expectation, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Do you believe that the media and social media is putting this "you should be 100% happy all the time" message out there, and that's working against people?
Yeah, I believe that is definitely a factor. And, it's impossible to be happy 100% of the time. Sadness is needed in life to kind of learn and experience things. And it's just impossible to be happy. But it's important to remember in those times of sadness that it is okay to feel sad as long as you're not just like stuck in this rut of depression and negative energy, and that you can get a way out of that. And there is a road to hope and happiness.
I love it. Okay, this is great. So that's an example of the negative attitude, and um, although it may seem benign, and people say, "Well, I don't know if this is really that big of a deal." This is the starting point: a negative
Mhm.
attitude, a dark attitude, and then finding a community of people who come along with you and say, "Yeah, let's dwell in this darkness. Let's."
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't care either, and I don't know either, but who gives a crap, right?
Right.
Um, once that community starts to build around you, it's reinforced, and I think you start sinking down in that mental quicksand.
Yes, definitely. Mhm.
Okay, nice going. I really like that. So you have a second item that you wanted to show us that you responded to.